Why did we hate subtitles before 2020? Let's be honest, the world was a little bit more ableist and less receptive to foreign media before 2020. Don't come for me, okay?
Don't come for me.
Let's unpack it a little bit here. Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nadia, but you can call me Nad. I talk about all things Asian media, whether that's anime, video games, Asian dramas, or film. And today, we're unpacking a little bit about what was the disdain against subtitles before the 2020 switch up. I can't be the only one who noticed it, okay? Like, even people I know to this day don't like using subtitles. And as someone who's just like always had terrible hearing, I blame my college days and blasting 21 Savage at max volume on the way to school. Like,
it makes sense. That adds up, you know?
I wish there were subtitles in the movie theaters. It'd just be muffling, you know? And I don't know, I can't be the only one who feels that way. Now, obviously, in a post-2020, post-COVID world, we saw the rise of subtitles being used in media, everyday media. Obviously, I use it in all of my YouTube videos and I use it in all my short form social videos. I feel like this was something that was really embraced by all social media platforms, including long format. I would say like TikTok was probably the first platform to really integrate using subtitles in every piece of content. And I think that came with the rise of TikTokers in 2020 and TikTokers who primarily focus their content on educating people on what things are inherently ableist. I think that's such an important topic to bring awareness to, and I'm glad that was something that gained so much awareness back in 2020. But before then, and in my personal experience, I feel like there was such hesitance to using subtitles. It's before the rise of social media, before the rise of the internet. Whenever people saw subtitles, it was usually like in a senior citizen's home.
Now, for my family, my dad also blared his music way too loud growing up.
Had been using subtitles basically since he was like 35.
And I'm following suit, okay? That's just, it runs in the family, apparently.
And I always appreciated it. I mean, this might be a bit of an aside, but my mother being Filipino, she doesn't necessarily have a Filipino accent and she doesn't really speak Tagalog at all, but she still carries like a certain sentence structure when she spoke to me growing up that I carried over, and it affects the way that I speak generally. And then also just trying to comprehend how people would speak in media, whether it was movies or shows on TV, was harder for me. I don't know why, but it was. And I'm sure like the cultural aspect plays a role into that. And in that case, I really appreciated subtitles. Now come the wave of the weeaboo in me and the Koreaboo in me. I know people don't like those terms. I don't identify as a Koreaboo. I am definitely a weeaboo. Otaku's probably more appropriate here. During that phase, my EXO phase, my 21 phase, I loved it. I loved the subtitles because like I wanted to know what the songs meant in English. And then I found K-dramas, and then obviously I was already used to reading subtitles when you had to watch anime on YouTube with episodes being broken up into 3 parts, 10 minutes at a time on a YouTube channel. If you know, you know. The struggle was real. Young Gen Z and Gen Alpha, y'all have it
So damn easy, okay?
I digress.
Now, I do want to get into some uncomfortable conversations about this, strictly from the lens of foreign media and just kind of putting the ableism aside, because I don't necessarily feel like I'm in the place to talk about that as a person who is able-bodied and can hear. We're going to put that aside for now, and I'll leave that for the experts in that matter. If you didn't know, America is very much a melting pot in its cities. So you're likely to find people of all ethnicities, cultures, and races in whatever large city that you go to. As someone who is half Asian, I actually never grew up in a large city, so I didn't really have the privilege to grow up around fellow Asians, but for some reason there's a Filipino everywhere. There's a Filipino in every corner of the US, and thank goodness, because as soon as I found the Filipino in Biloxi, Mississippi, I'm like, we're homies. And we're gonna watch anime together, and you're gonna put me onto something that I didn't know about.
And I'm gonna have to use the subtitles, okay?
As someone who is technically like a second generation Filipino American, I know my mother told me that her mother told her to stop using Tagalog. That's why I never learned Tagalog. And it's really sad that I was never taught it, because my mom was taught to fit in by her mother, and therefore she never taught it to me. I think that was the stark truth about being of Asian descent, or being an Asian kid growing up in America, especially with my mom's generation in the 80s, in the 90s. You would be judged for having an accent, you would be judged for speaking in your native tongue, you would be judged for having your own home cooking. I call it the stinky food effect. Like, at the end of the day, it is racism. That racism is so subliminal in ways that we don't even realize, and that can include within media not seeing the use for subtitles. I think that is something that deterred a lot of Americans in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, and in the 2010s. It really took until 2020 for Americans to be opened up to the world of foreign media around the world through apps like TikTok to understand the benefit of using subtitles and learning about brand new stories and brand new cultures that was just completely new to them. It opened up new worlds for them. But pre-social media, pre-internet, that wasn't the case. The case was to fit in, be American, be proud to just be American. Even though this country loves to boast about being a melting pot, the reality is the model American is still a thing, and it will always be a thing. And Americans, we love being patriotic. Maybe
not so much now.
I do want to say, alongside with the rise of social media and TikTok platforms, Reels, and YouTube Shorts, we also have seen the rise of just individualism through social media over the past decade. In the 2010s, when YouTube really started to pick up and grow recognition and respect, especially when we started seeing successful YouTubers as the first true influencers, anyone who really grew a huge audience and platform was someone who embraced their individuality with no question. They embraced it, they accepted themselves for who they were, and they used it to their advantage. And it was something that was so natural for them. And it works. It worked every time. I feel like that's something we don't have as much now, but I do think that idea of an individualism, and not just seeing it in American culture, but like a lot of the UK YouTubers were very individualistic about the things that they obsessed over and that they loved. That really paved the way for the rise of the influencer in the 2020s, for individualism to turn into globalization, which is just so interesting, especially when you think of it from the angle of Asia and East meeting West, when Asia is such a collectivist society. Obviously, the West, and specifically the USA, is so individualist, but when you are able to combine media from those two sides of the world through social media, we see a rise of individualism, not just already in the USA, but also in Tokyo, also in Seoul. And these creators abroad noticing that they're gaining fans from the US, and just like, it's so cool. I actually get so passionate about it. Like, that's one of the reasons why I love social media. It's a way for all of us to be global citizens. And I think because the globalization from social media to push captions, to push subtitles in everything that we watch, and not just push them to be available, but to be available in every modern language possible. Without the rise of social media, would the world be as accessible as it was today? Would mediums such as anime, such as K-dramas, C-dramas, J-dramas be as accessible as it is today without it? It's so interesting to me. I will write a research paper. I hope it can pave the way for multiculturalism in all forms of media, so we can start seeing all of us as global citizens and maybe unify as one. Your girl just wants to bridge the East and the West through media and yap about things I'm a fangirl of, and I hope you guys enjoy it. even though I'm a little all over the place. My bad. Thank you so much for watching this video if you did. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know if I have hype points, but if I do, hit those hype points. I also have a printable scripting template linked in my description below. You can purchase that today if you'd like. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video.